Well, once again, everybody, thanks for coming back. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with a whole lengthy intro and stuff like that. You heard that opening, so no need to like rehash all of that. And part of the reason I want to rehash all of that is because I want to get right into it because we are in the midst of an epidemic that I want to talk about on today's episode. I'm Michael, by the way. So, and yeah, all that other stuff. But let me get to this epidemic that I'm talking about. All right, check it. I'm going about my business and stuff, reading, doing what I do, just going about my day, and I come across an article. And before I get into the article that I read, I just want to say that I understand that we've all been going through a pandemic for the past year and a half. It's been a big deal. And this epidemic, while it might seem that it's tied to the pandemic, actually that's not necessarily the case. Check it out. I read an article in InStyle magazine. Don't ask me why I was reading InStyle magazine. Don't even worry about that. That's not important. The important thing is that there was an article about a 71% decline in the purchase of high heels in the year 2020. Now, again, while we might immediately think that this is tied to the pandemic in some way, that's not necessarily the case because the article also talked about how the numbers were declining in 2019. It just really went off the rails in 2020, but it was declining in 2019. This is a big deal for me. It's like, I don't know how other people might feel about it, but for me, this is like a thing. And here's the thing for me, the vast majority of things that women do to themselves, it has nothing to do with attracting men. And I don't understand the purpose in a lot of it at all. It's like I've never heard a man come back home from a date and start raving about how nice a woman's eyelashes look. And along that note, I don't think I've ever heard a man rave about anything about a woman that was fake. Well, actually, that's not true because I have heard men rave about women's fake butts. But oftentimes, most of the time, that's because the dude doesn't necessarily know that the butt is fake. He's just looking at a butt. It looks nice. He doesn't know it's fake and he's acting accordingly. So technically, he might rave about a woman's fake butt, but that really doesn't count because he doesn't really know it's fake. And like for the longest time, it's like since now I'm on this path about things that women do that don't have anything to do with men, but men have to put up with, which kind of distracts from the whole thing about the hill thing. But I'm coming back to the hills, I promise. I'm just on this tangent. Just go with me here. It's like for the longest time, it was like when a woman's hair was fake, at least I didn't know it. I think I was the last person to realize that a woman's hair was fake. And for the longest time, women wouldn't necessarily like let you know that their hair was fake. They would like deny that their hair was fake and that or their weave or their wigs or whatever it is. And just the whole idea of women wearing wigs, I just thought that was something that my great grandmother used to do and my grandmother. But I thought it went out of style. But apparently, if it did go out of style, it's back now. And not only are women wearing wigs and fake stuff, they're wearing it proudly, outwardly, and before you even ask a question about their hair. And sometimes, if you don't ask a question about their hair, they'll proudly let you know that it is fake in some form or fashion. As a matter of fact, on the fake hair tip, I remember I was dating a woman, and this was like in the late 80s, early 90s. Again, I told you this podcast skews to a particular audience. So back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was dating a woman and I was running my fingers through her hair. And she was like, yo, don't run your fingers over my tracks. Don't pull on my tracks. And at the time, I had no idea what a track was. And she actually had to break down for me to the point where she had to like take my hand and put it in her head to like let me feel what the track was. And that was the first time I'd ever known anyone that had gotten like something sewn into their actually hair, the actual hair to make their hair look longer. That mess was fascinating to me. And the only reason that she let me know was because I was playing in her hair. The whole time that we had been interacting before that, she was like, I don't think she ever said that that was her real hair, but she definitely didn't do anything to deny that that was her real hair. And I was under the impression that it was her real hair, and obviously it wasn't, which, like I said, is different from nowadays. But yo, yeah, I guess it's better that you're proud of that mess. No shame. Again, the hair thing, that's not something that you do for us fellas anyway. So I guess I shouldn't I guess I shouldn't make any judgments on it or anything like that, or any other things that women do that have nothing else to do with us that we have to just put up with. But since I'm on this vibe, another thing, I'm sorry, I'm getting to the hills. But another thing that gets me is women that have like the claw nail things. It's like I don't get that one at all either. It's like the ones that like look like claws, they like point and they, yeah, they point. That is the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life. It's like I've never met a man that came that I saw after he went out with a woman and said, "Man, you should have seen her nails, man. They were like claws, man. That mess was so hot." But women do that stuff for other women and it has nothing to do with us. I guess I have to accept it, but man, I, I, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. But again, since I'm on this track, don't even get me started on makeup. But since I got myself started on makeup, the makeup is the next thing. It's like I've never heard a man say, "Yo, she was this, and her makeup was applied so well." It's like the only way that a man will compliment a woman's makeup, at least men that I know, is if she was wearing so little of it that you couldn't tell that she had any on at all. That's the only way. And then he wouldn't necessarily be complimenting her makeup directly. He'd be complimenting the fact that her skin looked clear. So he would have thought that she just drank a lot of water when she just has a lot of makeup on and stuff like that. And that reminds me of like there was one night I couldn't sleep and I woke up in the middle of the night and I turned the TV on, which is what I do. And there was this information infomercial on, and it was like I couldn't turn away because it was an infomercial for like this, what was it? It was like a spray paint gun, like something that you would take and you would pour paint into, and then you would like spray the walls instead of using rollers if you're trying to paint your house. It was like that, except it was for makeup. You would like pour makeup into the joint. And once you poured the makeup, it was like a gun, like a spray gun that you would spray over your face. So it was like literally you were painting your face. Like I said, I was fascinated by that mess. I watched the whole thing. It was 30 minutes long. I stayed up and watched the whole 30 minutes. One, because I was fascinated by the product, and two, because I just couldn't believe that people actually did that to themselves. But obviously they do. And they do it a lot. And it like it reminds me of this weekend. Over the weekend, me and several friends of mine, we went out to like this cigar bar, this lounge spot or whatever. And the woman that was selling the cigars in the humidor department of the spot, she was a good looking woman. I mean, she had it together. Her body was tight. You know how I always complain about the bodies and stuff like that. Her body was tight. I mean, her hair was natural, the whole nine. But of course, it couldn't be perfect because she had her face was like packed with makeup, and she was a nice looking dark skinned sister. And I don't know, and I wish I did know the thought process that she went through that made her feel like wearing thick pink eyeshadow was the move. And not just like pink eyeshadow, but it was the eyeshadow like you put over here, and then she had it like running off her eyes into her face. Like that was a look, like she was going for some kind of like superhero look or something like that. But s- yeah, but all right. I'll just leave it alone because again, that's another thing on the list of the things that I've already mentioned that women don't do for us, which is weird because women are trying to attract us, but they do things not only that we aren't interested in, but some things that we actively actually don't like. But I keep saying I'm gonna leave it alone, but I don't leave it alone because I keep talking about things that don't have anything to do with me, and they're not to attract me and all of that stuff. But I will say, having gone through this several times, I've never known a guy who spent the night with a woman and then when she left, like looked at his pillowcases and thought, as he saw all the makeup, like, oh wow, I think I'm in love. And the thing about it is, man, sometimes that makeup is not the easiest thing to wash off of those pillowcases. So that's another thing that women need to keep in mind. As a matter of fact, I think me and Reggie might have talked about this on one of the podcast episodes in the past, but I remember back in the day, I worked with a woman. She's passed now, God rest her dead, but she would put on a full thing of makeup, go through the whole day with that makeup, and then wait for her husband to sleep. She would take the makeup, take the makeup off at night and then go to sleep, get up in the morning before he did. She would consciously set the alarm to get up before he did so she could reapply the makeup. So the idea was he would never see her without her makeup on. And one thing I found from personal experience in dating women that wear makeup and rely on it to that extent, boy, that messes up your face long term. I remember one time I saw a woman I was dating. She wore makeup all the time. And then I saw her one day without it. I just happened to walk in the bathroom while she was getting ready. We were going someplace and she didn't have her makeup applied. And man, I didn't even know what I was looking at. It was like walking into a scene from a horror flick or something like that. But there I go again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're talking about high heels. That's the whole point of this. We're talking about high heels. I'm gonna get back to high heels. Matter of fact, yo, well, forget that. I'm coming back to that. You know, one thing that I am happy that seems to have passed, that was a big thing back in the day, and for those of us of a certain age, we can relate to. Remember the days, y'all, when women used to do the colored contact lenses? And yo, don't get it twisted. I know guys that used to do the fake colored contact lenses too, and swear up and down that they were like, yo, these are my real eyes. This is my real eye color and stuff like that. And then you will see them years later, and I guess the sun bleached their eyes and made them brown like every other black person in the world. But back then, it would be all kind of different colors that they would wear and swear up and down that 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 was the thing. That was their real eye color. And unlike the wig thing, the weave thing, where women will proudly say, "Yo, this is not my hair. It's my hair because I paid for it." Man, I'm just so happy that they let the colored contacts go. At least I'm assuming they let the colored contacts go. I don't recall the last time that I saw somebody wearing colored contact lenses. Hmm. Hey, that's a good thing, though. Shoot, there's no reason for me to go out looking for it, so I'm just gonna let that slide. But okay, but that's not the point either because we're talking about heels. But before I get to the heels, let me mention one more thing. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine last week, and I was asking her what she was going to do this past weekend, and she mentioned that she was going to get some micro braiding done. Now, I had no idea what this was, but I was fascinated by the concept. And basically, for those of you all that aren't aware what microbraiding is, which was me until a few days ago, basically, it's the process of injecting pigment into your skin. So women do this to make their eyebrows look fuller. And I'm sure a lot of you know what this is, especially women out there. You all know what this is. I was clueless. I'm imagining that other guys are clueless. So that part is just for the fellas. Fellas, you're welcome. But then I started to like wonder, like, what's the difference between that? Because so basically, you're calling it tattooing. You're getting eyebrows tattooed on your face, but I guess it's not cool to call it getting tattooed. So you call it microbraiding. And she was explaining that there was actually a difference between microbraiding and getting tattooed. I didn't really understand what it was. And when I Googled it, I really didn't get what it was because when you get a tattoo, you're doing the same thing. You're injecting a pigment into your skin. So I don't know, microbraiding. And then when you call it microbraiding, it gives the impression that there's actually some braiding that's going to be done when there is no braiding that's done, considering you're just getting pigment injected into your skin. So the whole title is kind of misleading, but it still sounds better than than getting tattooed or saying I'm getting my eyebrows tattooed. So I don't know. There's a difference. Women understand the difference. I don't understand the difference, but it it is what it is. What's funny about the whole microbraiding, tattooing thing, the eyebrow thing, just in general, is that back in the day, for the longest time, and I'm glad this trend is out of style. The trend was for women to pluck their eyebrows to get them as thin as possible, which was something that I really couldn't stand. It kind of made you had this like alopecia look, which I was never really a fan of. And I was always more of a fan of the fuller eyebrows. But with all of that said, that's something that, yeah, I do like the fuller eyebrows more so than the thin eyebrows. But I also acknowledge too that regardless of what I like or what most men like, it really doesn't matter because women, even with the eyebrow game, you all aren't doing it for us. So it's just funny to me that you plucked your eyebrows out and then they couldn't grow back. And so you get tattooed eyebrows on, well, micro braided eyebrows on. So when the trend turns around and it goes back to having thinner eyebrows because everything comes back around, everything's cyclical, what do you do then? Because my friend was telling me that the micro braiding or tattooing or whatever you want to call it, it does fade after a while, but and just my talking through this is funny to me. It fades after a while, but I don't think it fades enough that it ever disappears. So I guess if you wanted to go back to thinner eyebrows, you would have to get eh, get basically tattoo removal, which isn't, I hear it's like painful. Not only is it painful, it doesn't, at least from what I've seen, it doesn't, you still like have a mark from where the tattoo used to be. You just don't have the tattoo anymore. So 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if we're all still here on this earth and the trend turns and we start seeing women walking around with all these spots all over their eyebrows where their eyebrows used to be, we'll know that they were micro braided and then they got them removed like the old fashioned way or whatever. But but anyway, again, this is about heels. This isn't about that other stuff. So I am going to talk about the, hold before I talk about the heels, and I'll get to the hills. But among other things that women do, I was watching something. No, I was reading something, and I saw that Alyssa Milano. And for people that don't know Alyssa Milano, she's the woman that was on Who's the Boss. For, like I said, this podcast is for people of a certain age, so you should at least know what Who's the Boss is with Tony Danza. She was on that show. She was also on that TV show Charmed, which is a TV show basically for 16-year-old white girls. But how do I know about that show? I have no answer for that. But it was her, Rose McGowan, and some other woman. It doesn't really matter, but she's famous now for, I don't know what she's famous for, but she posted a picture on her Instagram of her holding up her arm to expose her armpit hair. Now, look, I understand that women do things for themselves. I understand that women do things for other women. And I understand, and I've been railing against in the season 2 of this podcast, I've been railing against women and this whole body positivity and how they're taking it too far. This is truly an example of taking body positivity too far. I mean, let's be real about this. It- Armpit hair, really? I, this is not the 60s. You need to shave that mess off. I mean, the whole idea of not just having armpit hair, like, like you didn't, it's not that you didn't have a chance to shave it. You are flaunting it like it's something that you're proud of, like you're liberated or something like that. And subtly, subconsciously, might even be consciously encouraging other women to do that. Ladies, don't do that. You know, if I meet a woman and she has the cat claws, I can get past that. If she has a weave, I can work with that. You know, I can work with things. I can't work with body hair like that. As a matter of fact, it reminds me, I used to date a woman, and she didn't like shaving her hair, shaving her leg hair. She did used to shave her underarms, but she thought she liked the way that the hair on her legs looked. I kid you not. And to take it even further, she would talk about how she liked the way that when she would wear pantyhose or stockings, she liked the way that the hair would curl up and you could see it curled up underneath her stockings when she would wear stockings or pantyhose. Honestly, that was the craziest shit I ever heard in my life. And well, I don't want to say that that was a deal breaker. We did have to have a conversation about that. And to her credit, she did wind up shaving for me. So that was strange, but I do appreciate the fact that she did wear stockings and pantyhose. I'm gonna come back to that too. But she did that for me, and just so people know that I'm not a hypocrite, I'm not a big body hair person on myself either. And I know that might be too much information. Matter of fact, I'm sure it is for a lot of the fellas. But I've heard women have complimented me on that. It's like I shave my underarms. Now I don't shave my hair. I mean, I don't shave my legs. That's a little bit too much for me. But I do shave my underarms and I shave other parts of my body and stuff like that. And I've heard women actually compliment me on that. They like the fact that, when I lift up my underarms, it's not like a forest up under there. And now with that said, while I talk about shaving the underarms and shaving the legs, that theory doesn't necessarily apply to the runway. And when I talk about the runway, look, if y'all don't know what the runway is, I can't help you all. Like I said, this podcast is for people of a certain age. And if you don't know what the runway maintenance is, the landing strips and all of that, I can't help you. But as long as it's maintained and manicured, I can I'm cool with a little something down there. I'm cool with a little something down there. But with that said, if you prefer not to have anything down there, I'm cool with that too. As a matter of fact, I probably prefer nothing down there, but yo, I'm definitely not gonna be turned off if you got a little something down there. As long as it's not so much that I need a machete while I'm down there doing my work. But that's neither here nor there. All right, right. None of that has anything to do with attracting a man. I don't even know that women trim the runway with the idea of attracting a man. It's definitely not something that I'll take for granted. But in a roundabout way, this brings me back to the heel thing. I know I kept talking about I'm getting to the heels. This is about heels, and this is why women should wear heels, and why I see this as a pandemic and all of that. And how they're related is because of all of the things that women do that have the care that they put into their appearance that doesn't involve working out, that has absolutely nothing to do with attracting a man, that men don't care anything about. Seeing a woman in heels is one of those things that I actually love. And don't get me wrong, I understand that heels can be bad for your back, and I understand that heels can hurt your feet and all of that. I sympathize with women on that. Now, I don't sympathize enough with women to like rub their feet because I'm not the foot person. And if you go back through the podcast archives, me and Reggie, we had that long talk, and I had that went on that long rant that I came back and apologized for when I went off about how I thought that people that like feet were perverts and freaks and all of that stuff. So I don't want to go down that road again. But on a side note, it just always cracks me up. And I don't want this to be a deterrent for women to wear heels or encourage women to not wear heels like the 71% and all of that stuff. But I will say, it always used to crack me up back in the day when I would like go to concerts or some kind of event or something like that. And I'd be walking like from my parking space to like the venue or whatever. And on the way, I would see all of these beautiful women like wearing their heels and stuff and strutting confidently to the venue and all of this stuff. And then when the show is over and everybody's walking back to their cars and stuff, those same women would be walking barefoot through the dirty street with their heels in their hand because their feet were hurting so bad that they couldn't even make it back to the car with their heels on. But again, I don't want just because I'm laughing. I don't want women to be discouraged from wearing heels because women need to continue to wear their heels. And if women do a whole bunch of stuff that's uncomfortable to y'all. So shoot, heels is just another thing. You can do it. I believe in you. Rock your heels because that's the thing, man. It's like the way that heels like which can transform a woman's body. It's like, as a matter of fact, heels to me and a lot of men that I talk to, heels transform everything about a woman. It's like it elongates their body. It's like it the way the heels accentuate their calves and the way it transforms their walk. Like I said, it's like women that wear heels, it's like they walk with a strut, like this confidence that I can't really explain. Now, with that said, that's if they actually can walk in heels. Some women, and again, I'm not saying this to be discouraging, but some women, it's like when you watch them walking and stuff in certain heels, especially heels that are too high or whatever, it's like sometimes they're looking like baby giraffes and stuff. You can like see their like legs like quivering. It's like the funniest thing. It's cute in a weird way. It's not sexy at all, like all of the other things that I just mentioned about things about heels that make them sexy. There's nothing sexy about the baby giraffe thing. It's actually kind of funny, and God don't you dare fall. So it's like you're either looking like a baby giraffe if you don't know how to walk in them, or you look like you walking on stilts like the dude in the circus that's walking on those things, and it's like any second he could fall. It's because if it's not done right, if it's done right, it's great. It is the sexiest thing in the world. But man, on the other end, there is nothing funnier about watching a woman struggle to walk in heels. But with that said, forget all of that stuff. Go back to the sexy stuff that I said. Elongates the body, accentuates your calves, transforms the way you walk. You walk with a strut. It like gives you a built-in sexiness. It's the I wouldn't say it's the only thing that you can wear that has a built-in sexiness. There are a lot of other things that you can wear that has a built-in sexiness, but heels work. Trust me like that. So that's the point I wanted to make, and I won't go any deeper, about keeping them on once you get home or anything like that, because I don't want to sound like a perv or anything like that. But shoot, women, ladies, y'all know what it is. Yeah. But the point in all of this is that, ladies, you already do very little for us men in the first place. And it seems like you've already done away with one of the things that I used to really love that I referred to earlier, that ex I used to do all the time. Panty heels and stockings. That used to be something that is still something that really turns me on. But women don't wear those anymore. So if you've gotten rid of that, you can't get rid of heels too. It's like, come on now. And first of all, don't judge me for liking pantyhose and stockings. Everybody has their thing. That's my thing. But I don't even understand why those things went away though, because it's like even like in the winter, it's like even in the winter, it's like I don't see women, or at least as many women, wearing stockings or tights or pantyhose in the winter, and I don't understand why. I see more women, and it gets cold enough in Atlanta that women wouldn't be walking around in like 30, 40-degree weather bare-legged, but women still do. Women still walk around bare-legged and stuff as opposed to wearing some pantyhose or some stockings or whatever. But you know, anyway, anyway, that is just a thing for me. But in, anyway, th- let me just close by saying this. Ladies, I'm not telling you to go out and buy more heels. The article mentioned that there was a decline in high heel purchases. So you don't necessarily have to go buy more. That's not what I'm saying, because 95% of every woman that I know, and it's funny, I I know women that every time I see them, it's like they're wearing the same outfit every time. They're always dressed down. But if you go in their closets, they have like 100 pair of shoes. And I always ask, like, where exactly are you wearing these shoes to? Because I never see them with you on. And like women will buy shoes like for special occasions, even if the special occasion never arises. And that's another thing that a friend told me. And I was like, well, if a special occasion comes up, why don't you just go buy shoes when you know you're going someplace? And even though they buy shoes for special occasions, if a special occasion comes up, they'll still go out and buy more shoes. So, I'm not telling you, ladies, that you need to go out and buy more shoes. Ladies, I am sure that you all have enough. I'm thinking about it. I don't know that I have more than 10 pair of shoes. And I think that's a lot. Man, I don't know a woman that has fewer than 30. So I don't know. But with that said, I'm not saying that you need to buy more shoes. What I'm saying is you don't need to pack up your heels and throw them in the back of the closet or take them to Goodwill or anything like that. You still need to wear those heels, because that was the thing about the article. It was like not necessarily just that high heel sales were declining. It was it was a correlation between that and the fact that women aren't wearing heels as much because women are opting more for comfort, which plays into that body positivity. Even though that's not directly body positivity, still it's like the underarm hair. It's like being more comfortable with yourself and all of that stuff. Again, not about the guys. It's all about you all. Women, you all are selfish. That's what it comes down to. Y'all are just selfish. But that's look, all I'm saying is, it's like for a change, do something for the fellas instead of for the girls. It's like you already make like 99% of the fashion slash cosmetic slash style choices. You already make like 99% of those like choices for other women. It's like, can the guys have a little bit? I mean, and even though I say like 99%, which implies that men, we get the 1%. I don't even know what the 1% would really consist of. It's like, what do women do for men? Uh, Thongs? Maybe thongs. Maybe that makes up the 1%, which would be a good 1%. I'm not knocking that. And if y'all don't do thongs for us, can you at least like fake it? At least lie to me and just say that the thongs are for me. It's like, just say that just say that thongs are for the fellas. Like, cut us a break. So wear some heels for your man. And for the record, I'm not talking about the kitten heels. Those are the only heels that is just way too deep. That's for something like your 70-year-old grandmother would wear. And I don't really know that I see many women wearing kitten heels that are younger than 70. You may as well just wear flats. But Women, if you want to impress men, you want to keep your man, anything like that, throw some heels on for the dude, you know? Yeah. One thing about that woman that I talked about with the leg hair and her lack of desire to shave it, I'll give her credit. She did wear pantyhose and stockings, like I said. It's just that she wanted to see her leg hair show through them. So that was one thing that really appealed to me once we got her to shave her legs. And she was interesting in that she wore heels every single day, regardless of where we were going, unless we were specifically going someplace where that required gym shoes. She wore heels every day, to the point that when she would wear gym shoes, she would like walk on her toes because she that just spoke to how not used to wearing gym shoes that she was. She was so used to wearing heels that when she wore gym shoes, she would walk on her tiptoes. It was the weirdest thing. But hey, she had 2 out of 3. She wore the stockings and the pantyhose, and she wore the heels. Maybe I should have kept her. Anyway, no need living in the past. Thank you all for joining us. That's me. Thank you all for listening to me rant. I know it was about heels, and I know I got off the rails and started complaining about all of the things that men don't like that women do. And I know that might have turned some women off, but ladies, just know I'm on your side. I'm your friend. I'm looking out for you all. Consider this like, kind of like the PSA I gave you in the last episode about the 4 categories and being honest about where you fit in those categories. This is another PSA, me letting you know what men like and what you can do to keep your relationship going or to get a relationship. I mean, yo, I'd see a woman as sexy if she wearing heels as opposed to the latest Jordans. Anyway, datingwhileadulting.com. Go there. I write. Go there to see episodes on YouTube or go to the YouTube channel. Well, we don't really do anything on Twitter much anymore, but we're there on Instagram. We're everywhere that you want to see us, all the platforms. Thank you for coming by. Tell 50 friends to tell 50 friends. Reggie, say goodbye. Reggie doesn't say anything anymore. So I'll say goodbye for Reggie. Shout out to Reggie. And until next time, I'll talk to you later on this week. Goodbye.